catch my breath.
Hello, welcome to This is England Short Film Festival, and today we're going to talk about films, of course, short films, of course too, and we've got 3 films represented today here for the discussion we're going to have. I'm going to start as usual with alphabetical order, so we start with Clutter. So for Clutter here we've got Suzanne and Gregory representing the film, and we're very happy because we've got the producer, the lead actress, the writer, the co-producer too, and the lead actor of the film.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So, wow. So all this by yourself, so that's great. So we're going to have a very interesting conversation about that very interesting film that we're going to watch very soon in our festival. And number 2, we've got Hot Mess. I knew I would be wrong.
So close.
Hot Mess, animated film, Tortor Smith, director, producer and writer. You did everything in the film, I guess, so congratulations. And eventually Learners represented by Emer, Heatley, writer, actor, producer, okay, something. So we've got almost all the crew represented around here, which is very, very good, because my challenge is to try and find a common factor to all your films, very different universe, but the fact is, the title of your film gave me the idea.
Okay, yeah.
Mess.
Right.
Messy lives, mess in your mind, mess in your place, and so I was quite intrigued by that. I thought, because when you look at each one of your films, you can feel that there's a lot of cleaning going on, and cleaning. I mean, actual cleaning, but cleaning in your mind too. Trying to make things right. And so I was wondering, well, is it the start of a project when you feel things are too complicated and difficult, and there is so many things on you pressuring you, and you feel, I want to get rid of everything? Was it the start of your films? Did you think that either in your mind or around you, or responsibilities or administrative things, was that the trigger of your film? So we start maybe with Clutter, please.
Well, weirdly, I was just saying today that the first title I had for Clutter was Mess.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Which is the mess, the mess.
Isn't that weird?
And then I felt that clutter and just emotional clutter is something like a mess you can tidy, but clutter needs to be sorted. So that was kind of where I came with the title, I guess.
That was it.
Yeah, that was pretty much the initial title.
Yeah, and the idea at first, was it something which happened? Was it just analysing a situation?
I think it was very much when Suzanne first talked to me. We'd worked a lot in theatre, and I'd written with short pieces of theatre that Suzanne had been in. And when Suzanne suggested the idea of doing a film,
which you've never done before, this is our first film.
So I mean, just especially now we live in such a divided world, and I come from a very conservative family. My brother is an evangelical minister, and I'm a sometime drag queen, so this, Christmas is an interesting time. So I wanted to look at 2 very different people's approach to loss, and that's, I guess, where the thing came from, really.
And then you lost someone very close to you.
And I was really struggling, and then I lost someone really close to me, and suddenly it's like it was there.
And actually, as soon as you gave me the script, I was just like, this is actually brilliant. And especially what happens at the end. It's just it's not what you're expecting at all. So I just thought it was great. So we rolled with it, and here we are.
All right.
I know.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Thank heaven she said yes.
So Tortor, what is? It's really the focus of your film is about that, about the mess. Okay. And with this voice over of the mother, keeping. So why did you start? I mean, what triggered the idea to there?
Yeah, so it's quite autobiographical. So quite similar to the character in the film. My house is a mess, and growing up, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't sort it out. I'd put it away, and then it would be a wardrobe again, you know, all the clothes on the floor.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, growing up, my parents didn't understand. My mum in particular would be saying, tidy up, like, I don't understand, you're just being lazy. And so it's that was the nugget that started the idea. And as an adult, I've recently found out that I have ADHD, which kind of explained everything.
All right.
Because most of my life is a mess in one form or another, and that's why. So it's still a very misunderstood thing, ADHD. Yeah. One of the most physical symptoms is that people tend to be quite messy. So I wanted the mess to almost be a character in itself. So you've got this character trying to, you know, tidy up, their mum's coming round, but the mess is fighting back, because ultimately you can't really change yourself. You just got to accept. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah,
Oh, that's so
it's
good.
very, very efficient, I think, the way you portray it, and well, the explanation is very clear too. All right. So in Learners, I mean, the mess is not apparent right from the start, because the setting is mainly the inside of a car.
Yeah.
But you get to see that there is a mess in relationship. That's it, and the choices you need to make. So. How was the idea first presented to you, and is it an experience in life, or
Yeah, I think the kind of metaphorical mess of two people that are quite lonely and quite unfulfilled, but maybe kind of in denial about that, and through the relationship with each other, they kind of start the process of decluttering their lives. It's sort of semi-autobiographical in that the two central characters, or the two characters in the film, are loosely based on me and my father-in-law. He's retired, and there was a point in my life where I wasn't working that much, and spent a lot of time living with my boyfriend, who was living with his dad at the time.
All right.
So basically just spent a lot of time hanging out with Paul's dad, and we became quite good friends in this period, because I was sort of in between acting jobs, and Peter, Paul's dad, had just retired and was kind of getting used to having a lot more time on his hands. And we just found, myself and Paul, the co-writer of the film, and also my husband, we found that just quite a beautiful beginning of a friendship, because it's a dynamic that you don't often see, a kind of younger woman and an older man helping each other sort of navigate life. We like to say it's like a coming of age story, but that can happen at any age. So yeah.
All right. Yeah. So the fact is, what is interesting, I think, is the choice of the subject you want to work on, and whether in the end you feel that what you've done is not so far from what you started. Because the idea in the process of filmmaking is usually you work in a team with people, and so they tend to add, or sometimes you've got different opinions about something. So do you think that the original project you had at first evolved into something that you like? Were you forced to remove things that you wanted to put in it, and you say, oh, come on, I can't do it because time, money, or whatever, okay? And is there some kind of frustration in the end? Because when you're a painter, I mean, it's sometimes difficult to say it's finished now, but you can do it very quickly. And but when you edit the film, for instance, you've got so many possibilities that you never know whether you got the right one. So how do you manage this?
Do you know, I find that quite a tricky thing to navigate, actually. Most of the time, luckily, we did agree on things, but there are now, when I watch the film and I think of the odd bits that we did cut out,
especially you come from theatre, so it makes it from drama. So
absolutely, it makes it even more difficult. So sometimes I do watch and think, oh no, have we have we made a mistake there? But actually, when I look back and I remember the discussions we had as a team, actually the final product is what we wanted. And I know there is definitely one line.
There's one line, it's my favourite line of the film, and it's gone. But actually, dramatically, within that moment, it does work better without it. But it's very difficult. And in fact, it's a line that's not said by either of us.
No,
it's said by Samantha Power, who's a brilliant actress and plays the friend. And she had this one line that was so funny. And she just smashed it every time they took a take. And it was her favourite line in the film. It's my favourite line in the film. But what happened was the scene directly after it got cut. And tonally, the shift from her line to what happens in the scene after the one that was cut, it just wouldn't have worked. So even though I agreed as a producer, as a writer, I was like, oh. So, so in my head it's still there. I can still hear it.
It is for both of us, isn't it? And every time my character walks out, I just hear that line in my head, every single time.
But, the magic of festival is you can say that at the Q&A. You can say the line.
Yeah, that's very true.
And there was a scene that was cut as well that, again, for time, and we all agreed it wasn't needed, but it was, there's just a moment. And it was me and my character's personal assistant that was cut. And I was gutted because, A, she was brilliant in it, and now she's not in the film. But also, it showed my character in a completely different light, a much lighter sort of light. And so as an actor, I was like, oh no, that's gone. But again, the producer, you're like, it needed to go.
And I also had to tell the actress, who was actually a very good friend of mine, that she was totally cut from the film, which is really, really difficult. And actually, I said to you, didn't I? I said, I've got to actually do it face to face. I really feel like I need to go and see her. I mean, she took it brilliantly.
And the director gave her the edit of the scene so she could put it on her spotlight show reel. So
that's great. So it is, and as producers, that's something very, very different that we've had to deal with. I know we've done things in theatre, but actually we've not totally cut somebody from a play before. So it's just it's something that I've learned that actually as a producer you have to do, and you have to accept, and you have to go through those difficult moments. But actually, in the long run, for the good of the film, it was the right decision, even though it was very, very difficult.
It's interesting. About animation, I mean, do you have more material than the film you have, or how did you control that?
Yeah, not normally, but in my case there's more material because I approach it almost like from a live action perspective. So I find it very difficult to plan. Often with animation it's meticulously storyboarded, you time it out for an animatic, and by the time it comes to animating I'm fed up and I don't want to make it. So I have my idea, I write it down like a shot list, and then I just launch myself straight into animation. But I made this film at the Aardman Academy, and we only had 6 months, so I quite quickly learnt that I couldn't control everything in the way that I'd like, and I just sort of had to let it evolve. And so if something went wrong, I lent into the mistake, and then the idea changed slightly, but I feel like it ended up better for that. So I think it's good sometimes to have a relaxed approach and just to allow it to change rather than just trying to like control it really tightly, because then it can almost become stiff and just not be as good.
So but the process is very time consuming. I mean, you need to stop motion stuff, so and you can improvise a little bit with this.
So it's like a performance. So in my film as well there's a dog which is based on my real life dog with the same name, and so I watched lots of footage of her and her behaviour, little ear movements, head tilts, and then I became the dog and I just animated through this puppet. Didn't quite know what I needed, so I just did lots of different shots of the dog, and then in the edit I could choose which one I felt worked where. So sort of more live actiony approach in that respect. And similarly with my human character, I did lots of reaction shots, and then I worked it out with the scripted narrative, because that was sort of the spine of the film, was this voice that's coming through, and then there's this other layer of visuals with the character and the dog. So it was kind of like a jigsaw puzzle that I was constantly trying to work out in the edit. And there's this passage when things are moving slightly. I mean, the whole set is moving. It's computer work, I guess. Well, when the camera tilts, I did that manually.
All right.
So on the tripod, there's like a little dial, and I twisted it frame by frame, and then I just animated everything sliding to look as if it was sliding.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
Cannot wait to see this.
I can't wait to see it either.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
But there's a scene underwater, and that was part digital. So I had things on rigs, and then you have to paint those out so it looks like they're floating.
All right.
And then I enhanced it in After Effects to make it look a bit more kind of cohesive.
All right. And so you said that you wrote it while doing it, in fact. That's it? Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And so do you remember of your original idea or not at all?
Yeah, so it started off, it was called Disorganized Chaos, and it was a character who was trying to complete a jigsaw puzzle, but they couldn't find two pieces because their house was such a mess. And so the floor in the film is actually a jigsaw puzzle design to keep that theme in there, because ADHD was like my missing puzzle piece. But then it sort of just evolved. In the middle of the night one night, this script came to me, and I thought, if the mum's speaking about their child, that sort of gives more information, and you can say so much more in a short space of time. And then I approached some actors, and Nicola Walker, who's a big name in the UK, said she'd do it for £50, and
What a legend.
and
Wow, that's so
sort of just made the film really. So
All right. Yeah, so you really exchanged with people to talk about what you were doing. You were not on your own completely.
yeah,
All right.
so because it was sort of an educational setting, we had mentors in every area.
Okay.
So we had Susie Templeton, who's won an Oscar. She was our directing mentor. And then we had David Sproxton, one of the founders of Aardman, helping us with cinematography. We had Sam Morrison, who was helping us with the script. But because I kept changing my idea, by the time I actually wrote it, he had like gone out of the picture, so I didn't actually get any help. But we had support there if we needed it.
All right.
So,
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
And so what about learners? I mean, because the way of shooting inside a car and having this set in several episodes like this, it allows you to change a lot of things during the editing process. So how did it work?
Yeah, I think like ultimately the film is sort of like the arc never really changed, because I think Paul and I sort of had the end point of the film, which I won't spoil, but I think the final scene was the kind of first one that we had. So the sort of the journey to get there was always going to be the same. We had a lot more written and we had a lot more shot than ended up in the film, which is probably quite common. But I actually think that editing process, because we were like more than 20 minutes is a very long short, so we were like, we need to get this down. And I actually think that horrible process of kind of slashing away at it, and we have so many lines. We've got the amazing Roger Allam, who's like the most incredible actor, and like there are so many brilliant deliveries and so many beautiful bits that we just had to get rid of. And there were a few lines that he was quite sad about because he'd quite enjoyed saying them, but I'm really glad that we forced ourselves to just keep trimming it. And now I'm like, oh, we could take 5 more minutes off. But I think it's meant that in the film a lot of things are unsaid, and I think that all of the themes of kind of loneliness and grief and all of those very kind of nuanced things, you let the audience learn them rather than it all being kind of spoon-fed, which I think is always, I much prefer that as an audience member.
Especially in short films.
Yes,
It's very important to leave a lot of things unsaid and to leave room for, it's like reading a book, when you close the book, you keep thinking about what happened, and you create your new story or whatever. And short films, I think that's what I like in short films, is that you are left with food for thought, and imagination too. So I like.
And also that creates discussions between people, doesn't it? Because everybody has a different idea.
Well, you're just kind of plunging people into these whatever lives they are for 10, 15 minutes, and then as you say, you're kind of left afterwards. I wonder what happened next, or.
And that's why I think short films must be seen on big screens, because I hate watching short film programs in French TV late at night. Sometimes we've got short film programs on TV, but I feel I mean, you can watch a feature film on TV. You've got plenty of time to get into the story. But usually short films, I mean, you need to get into it right from the start because it's so short. And so when you are immersed in the story, because you've got a huge screen in front of you, it's very easy to get into it right from the start. But when you're at home with your coffee on TV, the time you feel you're in the atmosphere, I mean, the film is finished.
That's so true.
It's quite disappointing.
Yeah.
And the fact that your films are, I mean, often it's presented in programs because it's in festivals with several short films. Which film is before and which film is after is very important too. The balance between the films, and your film can be seen in a program in a very different way if it's in a different one, with different films around it, and the tone of it will be different, and the reaction of people will be different too. That's what is fun too. So when you attend festivals, I mean, maybe you've been to festivals for the film already, and the reaction of people is certainly different from one festival to another because of all these parameters which are just independent from your film, but that's the way it is.
I love the fact that when you do go, you're in a block, so it's going to be a block of different films every time, and it's so fascinating seeing it fit in those places. And also, like I did one festival, and there was a gentleman who'd come to see someone else's film, but it just so happened that the subject matter of our film was hugely resonant to him. Wow. And he came and found me afterwards to talk about, and I just found that incredible. He'd have never found our film if he hadn't been going to see another film.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was just that was really special.
And it's a filmmaking is a small world in France, in Britain too, I guess. Everybody knows everybody. Well, about. But the fact is, short films is a special kind of to me, because we've been doing it for about almost 15 years now, and we feel that there is a real atmosphere between the filmmakers when they meet here, which is very interesting, because you feel that they're really they're very happy to exchange, and they've got so many different experiences. No one's got the same way of life, and so what brought you to short filmmaking? So you were in doing plays in drama, and so what pushed you to do a film?
Well, interesting enough, because I've done a lot of shorts, like theatre pieces, and Suzanne was in a short a short theatre piece, a mini musical. It was 15 minutes. It was called The Jolly Folly of Polly the Scottish Trolley Dolly. It was about an air stewardess, and it was a one-woman show. It was brilliant, and some people saw it, and they actually wanted to turn it into a short film.
They did,
And they spent ages, and at one point they were thinking about having it animated, but it was just too expensive, because it involved, when I wrote the short film version, it involved a huge choreographed number on a runway, and I guess it was never going to happen. And then it sort of didn't happen, and then 2 years ago, Suzanne we were having a cup of tea, and she said, I think we should make a short film.
Yeah, and one of the reasons for that as well is because it's really difficult as an actor to get screen work.
Oh yeah.
It's getting harder and harder. I don't know if you find that, Emer. Yeah. It's just it's really hard. So actually, I was like, well, we've done it before with theatre. If we're not working, we've got a bit of a gap. Let's create something. So I was like, well, why don't we do something different? Let's create a short film. Let's challenge ourselves. Let's be dangerous. Let's go out there and try and
I have to say, because I'd seen Suzanne do a lot of very heavy lifting dramatic work, that led me as well to, because originally I was trying to write something funny, because that's what I tend to do, certainly in theatre, and then when it became about loss and grief and it all changed, that was a challenge in itself for me. But I think I felt the safety of a short film, because you don't make a short film to make a lot of money, you just don't,
What?
And I think that's also why I love that community of short filmmakers.
Yeah,
because you're not in it for the money, you're in it to create work and platforms.
And also starting with the short, we didn't know what we were doing really. Obviously we did have an idea of a director who then really, James unfortunately couldn't come. He really wanted to be here, but his mum isn't well. So, but he really helped us along. But he directed me in another short a few years ago. And we just kind of said to him, look, we're going to need some help with this. And he was just brilliant, helping us get a team together and then just supporting us and actually, you know, I think we did okay, and we feel really proud of what we've done. But with a short film, you can say so much in such a short space of time, can't you? Which I find really powerful. And we want to actually make another one now, which is exciting. And then maybe a feature in the future, but that's a big thing.
Yeah, I think, as you said, I mean, short films. I mean, well, you can't make money out of short films.
No.
But, well, you try not to lose money with short films. But the fact is, that's precisely my question. It's what brings you to do something which doesn't make money at all? Do you think that it's a way to get maybe to be recognized by people in, don't know, Netflix or whatever, who might offer you some work? In animation films, it's slightly different because I don't know who can hire you. Maybe big studios. Aardman, for instance, are looking for people to work for you. Yeah. So that's what you're trying to. Yeah.
Well, my main motivation is that I just want to share like important stories that start conversations, and I feel like short form filmmaking is like you see all these films that are just things that wouldn't get shared otherwise, and these stories that just you wouldn't know about, and I think that's beautiful. And so I often feel like the experiences we're dealt in life are given to us for us to share and to help other people. So that's my main motivation, but also just to create a body of work to show that I can tell a story and direct, and then potentially get funding to make more. And maybe get hired to be an animator or something. And
as an actress, I guess it's just also to make sure that people remind you. Hey, I'm still here.
I mean, like I'm sure any actor has many experiences of not having work, and the character that I play in our film is an out of work actor, a struggling actor, and so I think probably, I mean, we'd come up with the idea and then we'd written it. And then I was just bored. There was a period in the UK, I don't know how much it affected the French industry, but we had the writers' strikes in the US, which had a really big knock-on effect in the UK. Like no one was even auditioning, and it was just dead, and everything was awful. And I was just very bored, and kind of was like pushing Paul, and then our producers Tilly and Ben. I was like, come on, I think now's the time to do this. And I think the idea is, I want to watch this film. I want to make it so that I can watch it, and just to give all of our friends some work as well.
Absolutely.
And it just became this a real kind of labour of love, which I think, like Tortor said, is like an opportunity to talk about a story that I think is important, like looking at themes that I think are important, but also it was just really fun as well I think when the stakes are kind of lower, you're not going in for kind of big box office returns. It was just, I want to tell this story, I want to make this film, and then we'll see what happens. And so everything from then on has been a kind of bonus, I guess, like sitting here about to have our film screened in France. How exciting.
And also about learning, learning new skills. How amazing is it to learn new skills every day, because every day is a school day, like they say, and actually every day really was a school day when we were, leading up to shooting. And also it was a real, quite a challenge being the lead actors and being the producers, found a real challenge. Like we shot the very last scene of the last scene in the film on the very first morning. So everybody was meeting each other, a couple of people knew each other, and we had problems with drips and rain and this and that, and being able to sort of get myself together to do that scene was really quite tricky. I had to pull myself away. My producer head had to take a break and let you kind of take over. But that's quite tricky when everybody's only just met each other and you really wanted it to be a really nice, safe, calm, welcoming environment, and you've actually got all this stress going on. So actually,
ensure that you're in charge.
Absolutely, and I'm not stressed. That I'm really handling this really, really well. You know, but inside I'm going.
And we were very lucky. We had a really efficient line producer, slash first AD, and they had worked on a lot of festivals and a lot of short films, and they were just great at like keeping us in check as actors to remove that. And they did a wonderful thing also on the last day. We're about to start filming and we're kind of ahead of schedule, thinking, oh, it's all great. And they started cutting down trees opposite.
Oh God.
So we, so Gatti, they went out and spoke to the people, and the guy said, oh, we've got to do it today, So Gatti came back, basically took half the craft service table, all the cookies and the donuts, over to them and said, look, is there any way, here's our offering. And they found another tree they needed to cut about 3 miles away, and they left, and we were able to. But genius.
My cookies.
Because that was our last day. Last day with all the crew. We had to, last day of hiring lots of the equipment, so we had to get it finished. So they were
stressful environment.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think they told me that we had to stop now.
Oh, no.
That was great. Well, we'll keep talking later in the evening after. Won't say anything recording, but we'll have a few drinks afterwards.
Yeah, great.
So thank you very much. That was very interesting. Thank you for joining us here for this discussion that I really appreciated. And thanks a lot for joining us here in Rouen this year.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you.
Running is the choice that